Are you a software developer that's tried to build a project on your own? You set out with an idea, but before you even get started, you just get stuck figuring out what to build? Well, today I'm combining the power of AI with design thinking to show you my exact process for feature ideation and prioritization. Whether building your portfolio or working on client projects, this framework will help you make better decisions faster. Hi everyone, I'm Juan, a senior front-end developer with over a decade of experience building products for Fortune 500 companies and startups alike. I've led teams through countless product launches, and I've seen firsthand how design thinking separates successful projects from those that fail. Currently, I'm working as a lead software engineer at IBM while teaching developers like you how to level up their technical and strategic thinking skills. If you've ever wanted to work on your own projects, but you needed some more skills in design thinking and how to break down your problems into little pieces that you can actually build, jump into this workshop with us. We're going into episode 2. You can definitely check out episode 1. I'll have the link in the description below. So come along and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can be notified the next time that we go live, and you can come along on the process as we build out this portfolio website as an example of how you can use design thinking to ideate for that next software project. So let's jump back into it. So yesterday, we were working on our portfolio here. We were able to come up with some user mapping where we broke down our 3 different user personas. These are the people who are going to be interacting with our site in some way, form, or fashion, including myself, the person who writes the articles, who builds out the application, a junior developer, Clara, who will be coming to our web application to gain some insight as a software engineer, to learn a little bit more, and Pamela, who could be a potential employer. This might be a software development lead or some form of leadership on a software team looking to hire developers, and they're looking at our portfolio to gauge what our skill set is, what projects that we've worked on, and to see if we'd be a good cultural fit. So we were able to capture some of their context of that user, some of the goals and motivations that they have, some of their fears and frustrations, as well as some of the tasks and tactics that they use as they go through their day-to-day. We're going to use these user personas all along the design thinking process and through development to make sure that we're maintaining focus on our users as we go, because that's the most important thing in software. After that, we were able to do some how might we question generation. These are well-written questions that ask how might we do something that will deliver value to our user. The point of coming up with the questions is really to guide the ideation. So if we have really good questions, we can start thinking up really good ideas, and it'll just help get those creative juices flowing. The next step that we're going to go into, and this is where we're starting our workshop today, is rapid ideation. The idea here is to take our how might we questions and to just come up with as many crazy ideas as we can on how we can solve some of those problems, how we can deliver some value, how we can make things better, easier for our different user types. The idea here is to not be judgmental, to just let go of any judgment. Don't say, oh, that's not possible, we can't do that. Really get rid of all those negative thoughts, because the focus is really on how can we get as many ideas out as possible, and then later on we can start to cluster those ideas and we can put those ideas together and prioritize those ideas, which we'll be doing later on today in the workshop. So let's jump into some rapid ideation. Before we do, make sure to smash that like button if you've done design thinking before, or if you've never done design thinking before. Let me know in the comments if you think this would be a great skill to have, and what else you'd like to learn in terms of design thinking so that you can start applying this to your own projects. So let's just jump into the comments really quick. Your own projects. All right, looks like we got a few folks in here. Thanks for joining. Yep, definitely was having some mic issues early on. We can hear me now, so I'll get that worked away. Thanks for letting me know. Sweet. So jumping back into our ideation here, I have gone ahead and put some of our how might we questions, grouped them together around similar questions, just to kind of limit a little bit of what we got working on here. Go through some of these other ones. How might we help employers quickly assess both technical skills and potential? It's a great question. How might we demonstrate skills when code can't be shared due to NDAs? This is similar to sharing over here, but I do like this question because it's focused on the NDAs. So a lot of times if you've worked on an application for a client of your employers, maybe you can't share any screenshots. Maybe there's no way that you can share any code from what you've done. So maybe we can ideate on some ways to share some stuff about those specific projects. Next one here is how might we help developers highlight soft skills alongside technical abilities? I really like that. Soft skills, I think maybe this still comes over here. It's really around showcasing. How might we create clear pathways for junior developers to progress to senior roles? Really like that one. How might we help developers build their personal brand authentically? How might we make portfolio projects more engaging than traditional GitHub repositories? All right, so I think that we've kind of split these up pretty well here. And what's nice with Mural is I can just very easily extend this to get a little bit more room as we ideate on things. And you can always lock this so that you don't highlight it, which makes things really easy to move around. All right. And of course, I'm going to use my good friend Claude here to help us ideate on these. So let's start with, I'd like to start over here. I think this is a good cluster. So I'm going to copy all these here. I'm going to come back to Claude and say, I'm going to go back to our chat from yesterday. This is where we came up with our how might we questions. Hi Claude, based on the following how might we questions, can you help me generate 10 great ideas on how we can solve for some of these in the portfolio application we are building. Shift Enter is going to create a new line. I'm just going to copy and paste those and let it go. Now typically in a design workshop I really like to have a lot of heads together in one room. Designers, architects, of course your product owner, developers, people who are going to be working on the project should be involved, as well as any user types, subject matter experts that you can get into the room that might have some specific knowledge about your users or about the problem that you're working on. They might have some great insight. So ideally, you'd have at least 10 to 20 people in a room together and you'd be going through this and you'd spend time ideating. The more the merrier. Obviously putting more brains to it is always great for coming up with awesome ideas. I'm a bit stuck here since I'm just by myself, so Claude is becoming my team, which is a great way to showcase how AI can actually help get us unstuck as well, especially with creative endeavors. So let's see some of these ideas. Decision journey timeline. An interactive timeline showing key technical decisions in each project. Each decision point includes rationale, alternatives considered, and outcomes. Visual representation of how the solution evolved. Links to relevant code commits or documentation. Tags for skills and technologies involved in each decision. All right, it's a cool idea. So I think especially if you don't have a lot of projects under your belt, this is a great one to get started because this might allow you to turn one small project into a lot of content that you can share with potential employers. Problem solution story maps. Visual mapping of problem space to solution approach includes initial requirements, constraints, and challenges. shows iterations and pivots along the way, highlights user feedback and how it was incorporated, and documents trade-offs of their impact. Pretty cool idea, I like it. It showcases the soft skills. Interactive case studies, learning chronicle dashboard. So this is more of how you have grown your skills over time, documentation of the challenges that you've overcome, some of your resources, before, after code comparisons. Okay. A collaboration showcase where you highlight your team interactions, your leadership moments. So this could be a really good one for my portfolio specifically. I think it really showcases some of the leadership. So for senior developers, this might be a really good one. Project context cards, quick view cards showing project scope and constraints, business context and stakeholder requirements, technical limitations, how they were addressed, budget and timeline, impact metrics and results. Okay. Your process portfolio, which documents some of the design thinking methods, sketches, user research and feedback, technical blog integration, embedded blog posts about the technical challenges, tutorial content showing teaching ability, discussion of industry trends and insights. Okay, so that one's kind of specific to me. Skill growth tree. Visual representation of skill development, shows the relationship between different technologies, highlights current learning focus. That's interesting. Project impact showcase, business metrics and results achieved, user testimonials and feedback, performance improved, demonstrated, scalability considerations, long-term maintenance strategies. So of these, I do like the decision journey timeline. Problem solution story maps, I think those kind of go together, so I'm just going to paste these in here. And I want this one to be its own. And now anytime I'm typing in a post-it, I can just hit the tab button, it'll create a second post-it. So we'll capture these. A couple of good ideas here. Interactive case studies, learning chronicle dashboard, collaboration showcase. I do like the collaboration showcase. The project context cards are interesting. And let's see here, process portfolio. Technical blog integration. I think that one is a good one here, so I'll post that. Let me see. I'm curious about the skill growth tree. Let's ask Claude to help us out here. Can you expand on the idea of this skill growth tree? Interesting. So this is a cool idea. I think if you're just starting out as a developer, this might be a great one because you can kind of track your progress over time. I think in my case, it's going to be very difficult to go back and know like when I picked up certain skills. I'm still going to keep the idea. I'm just going to just call it skill growth tree. Maybe we can run with that in some way. Skill growth tree. All right, let's go to our next how might we question and see where we can continue. All right. So some ideas here, the mentorship matchmaking system. Skill-based matching algorithm defines the area of expertise and learning goals. A knowledge exchange board. Senior devs can share experience and solutions, code review requests and offerings, discussion threads with follow-up questions. I mean, that's kind of a good idea. I like that one there. So, knowledge exchange board. Let's see. Collaborative learning projects. Projects, ideas for paired learning, senior, junior developer team matching. This is a good idea. Let me just copy this. You know, I think pair programming is one of the most valuable things that you can do as a developer. If you're a junior developer who's trying to learn, just spending time working with more senior developers and having an opportunity to see how they code, see what patterns they do, it's absolutely invaluable. And you also pick up a lot of things on how you can improve your processes. Like I actually picked up a lot of little keyboard shortcut skills, or I saw how people used like iTerm2 to have like an interactive terminal that popped up on a keyboard shortcut. A lot of those things I was able to integrate in my own workflow, and they actually really sped up my development. So pair programming is super important, and I kind of like where he's going with this idea. Experience level badges and profiles. Okay, so this is maybe having like users log in and keep some kind of profile on the page. I think that kind of goes away from the portfolio, but I'm not going to be judgmental here. I'm just getting ideas. Community challenges. I kind of like where this one is. Office hours, learning paths, collaboration, code review exchange. I think that kind of goes along with some of the ones we did above. Community events integration, virtual meetups. Growth stories platform. I kind of like that. Growth stories platform. So I'm going to do that one as well. And then we'll move on to the next one here. Just trying to spit out these ideas. How might we encourage constructive feedback within the developer community? Best 5 ideas. Structured feedback framework. Okay, so some kind of feedback template. Guided prompts for different feedback types. Built-in reminders for feedback etiquette. Let me see. Oh, okay, that's still on the structured feedback. Karma-based recognition system. Interactive code review system, side-by-side code comparison tools. Okay. Peer learning circles. I kind of like that. Feedback learning path. All right, got a couple ideas out of that question. We're going to come back to this eliminate costs one. Abstract pattern showcases. Okay. So just being a little abstract, I like that. So you just kind of anonymize your case study. That's another good idea there. So I'm going to move these here. I do like that one. Parallel project demonstrations. Similar problems were solved with data, with public data. Technical writing portfolio, skill validation through certifications. So certification's not a terrible thing to point at here. Process documentation, metrics and impact stories, interactive problem solving. Okay, so got a couple ideas out of that. How might we create clear pathways for junior developers to progress to senior roles? A career milestone roadmap. I really like this idea. I think this could be something that I can create that might be useful to developers in the future. Progress tracking, skill mastery framework. Real world challenge simulator. Experience portfolio builder. I think I like this skill mastery framework. I'm going to copy this. That's the only one I really like there. How might we make portfolio projects more engaging than traditional GitHub repositories? Interactive project storytelling, multi-layer project explorer, visual development timeline, problem solution showcase, interactive documentation. All right.
Jesus Christ.
Interactive documentation. Interesting. Interactive documentation. I kind of like that. Just going to capture that as an idea in itself. Keeps really spinning out ideas around timelines. Can't say I hate it. Multi-layer project explorer, interactive project storytelling. All right, how might we help employers quickly assess both technical skills and potential? Kind of like this interactive portfolio summary. I think that actually gets to the crux of the issue here, which is making it easier for potential employers to get quick information. Professional DNA profile. I kind of like that too. Just going to put that in there. All right. All right, now this is the big one. Gonna do some prompt engineering here to really try to get the most out of the AI. The stake of my career depends on getting some great ideas to solve this. How might we question? I understand the importance of this question. Let's create ideas that make content creation sustainable and enjoyable. Love it. Progressive documentation system, right as you go framework. Quick capture templates for technical decisions, problem-solving steps, learning moments, code snippets, results, and impact. Mobile-friendly input, voice-to-text options, screenshot, image, and integration, quick tagging system. Content building blocks. Pre-built section templates for problem statements, solution approaches, technical deep dives, lesson learns, and next steps. Okay. 15-minute content sprints. That's actually a great idea. Contextual capture system. Automatic project context recording. That's kind of cool. So as you do git commits, maybe it's showing those git commits in my website. Joy-focused features. Gamification elements. Achievement unlocks, progress visualization, celebration of milestones. I kind of like this right as you go framework. So I'll move that over here. For my second one, content building blocks. I think that's pretty cool too. Oh, and I know I really liked this 15-minute content sprints. Cool. So there's some good ideas there. Some things I wanted to, think about here was really some of the ideas that I have around this are, how do I make writing super easy for me? And I think for myself personally, if I could write it in Markdown, that would be really easy. And I want writing the content to be as simple as it is for me to write code and to commit my code. So maybe like a CI/CD pipeline for a Markdown repository. So maybe I can just write my articles in Markdown. I can paste them into my repository, git commit, push that, and as soon as I push that, it kicks off a CI/CD pipeline that would launch my article. So I think that's a potential issue or potential solution. Using some kind of, what are they called? CMS, content management system, something like WordPress, probably not WordPress. I'm a fan of Ghost. I've also built a web application that uses Directus, and I know it's very easy to build a pretty cool data model in Directus, so that could be a good option. And this is just a question available for mobile. Okay, it's a little bit of ideation there. And I think we only have one more idea here to work on, which is how can we eliminate costs while maintaining high performance? So I'm going to have to expand on this. Let's see what he comes up with. So my thought here is that we can do some type of containerization. If we can use like Docker containers and a CI/CD pipeline, we'd be able to make changes to our application just by pushing the code repository. That would build in our pipeline and launch to some type of droplet. Maybe there are some cost-effective changes we can make in terms of architecture. I'm not much of a DevOps engineer. I do dabble, but maybe we can get some good ideas here from Claude. He says static site generation strategy, using Next.js with static generation. That's a great idea. We can have different options for deploying it: Netlify, GitHub pages, Cloudflare pages. Vercel apparently has a generous free tier. Look at these, all free. I like that. Content management approach. We could do a headless CMS using Markdown files in Git, which is completely free. No version, easy version control, no database needed, simple content updates, and direct PR-based workflow. Some different headless CMS alternatives are Strappy, Ghost, Contentful, and Sanity.io. Performance optimization techniques. We can optimize our images. We can optimize our code using code splitting, tree shaking. All right. Smart caching strategy. Might be able to use Cloudflare as a CDN. Long cache TTLs. TTL here stands for time to live. There are some trade-offs to having long cache TTL. Cache and validation strategy would actually solve some of those. Browser caching, service worker implementation. Okay. Incremental static regeneration, stale while revalidate. I'm actually somewhat impressed with some of these ideas here. Infrastructure choices, authentication, we could use Auth0, analytics, plausible analytics self-hosted, Algolia free tier for search, freeform endpoints, monitoring, cost-effective scaling, we could do edge functions for dynamic features, serverless functions for APIs, so this is all pretty cool. So I do like most of these ideas. I'm just going to copy this and see. So we'll do static content generation. Whoops. Paste that in there. Content management approach. Some different options. Not too crazy on the infrastructure choices. I think using something like DigitalOcean could be really easy. AWS is another good one. I am AWS certified, so that would be a good addition. So let me put that as an idea, actually. AWS services to highlight my developer certification. That's a good idea. Okay. So that's the end of our ideation phase. So look, for all of our how might we questions, we have quite a bit of ideation done. Doesn't mean we're going to build everything. The idea was just to spit it out onto the page, and in the next step, we're going to do some clustering of those ideas so that we can get to the point where we might be able to prioritize some of our features. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy all these purple ones. Just holding the shift button, I can continuously highlight more of them. I'm just going to Command C. Now I'm going to paste them here into this board. They're going to be everywhere. I can arrange them into a grid. All right. I'm just going to clean some of these up. Let me see. Again, at this point, we're still not being too judgmental on our ideas. What we're going to be doing in this affinity diagramming is we're going to go through all of these and we're going to start clustering them together, putting them into groups that make sense, where the ideas are related to each other. And then you just got to get most of these somewhat in here. They're not all going to fit. All right, so now let's start moving these together. Progressive documentation system, write as you go framework, quick capture for templates. Okay, so I'm just going to drag that out into the main space. Collaboration showcase, highlight team interactions and leadership moments. Okay, I'm just going to drop this out here. Project context cards, quick view cards showing project scope and constraints, business content. Okay. Content building blocks, 15-minute content creation sprints. So you see, I think all these go together with the progressive documentation system. Skill growth tree, experience level badges and profiles, community challenges. So community challenges and experience level and badges and profiles, I think that kind of goes together as like this community sharing section. Knowledge exchange board I think goes there as well. Community events integration is interesting. I think that that might be separate. Maybe it's the same as community challenges. Maybe I'll put those two together. Collaboration showcase, highlight team interactions and leadership moments, project context cards. Feedback template, I think. I kind of like this as part of the community events and challenges integration. Professional DNA profile. Interactive portfolio summary. Interactive portfolio summary. Kind of feels like it belongs here. Yeah, I think so. This is a question. I'm just going to close that. peer learning circles, I think that goes back over here. Interactive documentation. Visual development timeline. I think again this is around projects. Oops. Command Z is your friend in Mural. Growth, stories, platform. I think this kind of goes along with the technical blog integration. It's kind of like capturing my process as I'm building this site. Skill growth tree, I think can go over here. Let's see. Problem solution story maps, decision journey timeline. So these are both around okay, so now these ones are kind of getting stuck together. So we have, it looks like one cluster which is focused on showcasing the projects that we're building. We have another one that's about showcasing skills. So skill validation, visual development timeline. I think that's more for the project. Professional DNA profile, I think that goes with skills. Problem solution story map, journey. This is for the application itself. Project, context, collaboration showcase, visual development timeline. Okay, I think those are kind of coming together. This is project ideas for paired learning. So this I think goes more like with the peer learning circles, knowledge exchange board, interactive documentation, anonymized case studies, career milestone roadmap. This is an interesting one. I think this is more for developers that I would be helping by laying out some type of roadmap. Okay. Abstract pattern showcases. All these go together. Running out of space here. I think that they kind of go with these. Skill mastery framework. I think these go together. interactive project storytelling, developer story canvas, abstract pattern showcases. So I think that these are all part of showcasing our work that we've done. So I'm going to leave this here. Alright, so I think we have our clusters now. So let's start to put them together. And then we'll give them some titles. So what was this one? It's all kind of by his lonesome. Anonymized case studies. I think that actually goes here. All right. Some type of documentation. Okay. So, now that we've done this in our affinity mapping, what we can do is we can just put them all together. And let's just use our tools here. So I can make these into a grid. Could turn these into, how about a column? Those are already in a column. Let's grid these. Grid these. All right, I'm going to just grab my drawing tool. I'm just going to circle. Around them. So I can see my clusters pretty easily. All right, and now I'm going to add some titles to each of these. So this first one is going to be interactive project portfolio. All these ideas are centered around, building some type of timeline, showcasing the projects that we're working on, showcasing the skills that we use, the technical requirements, whatever that might be. Let's see, this one is process documentation. I don't know if we need documentation, but we'll keep it there. This one is around skills showcase, some way to showcase our skills. This one is technical considerations and building in a way that highlights our skills. Okay. This cluster is really about create frameworks for making content faster. Okay. This section, I think, is like social sharing section of the site for people to Let's say developers to grow together. This section here is content on career journey and milestones. Creating some way to help junior developers chart their path. And our final one here is community events and challenges. All right, so if we zoom out on our Affinity diagram, we can see we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 main clusters that make up the ideas. So now that we have this, we're already starting to see kind of the direction that we're going with the site, like the kinds of things that we might be able to do that will deliver value to our users, to deliver value to the different user personas that we set out earlier in user mapping. This is a super important part to get you from all those crazy ideas you spit out onto the board into something that's a little more manageable, so that now that we have this, we can start looking at it in terms of priority. Which of these makes sense to start really diving deep into? And so that's for priority feature prioritization, which will be the last part of our workshop for today. So let's see if we could jump into this. So what's really cool about Mural is that we have these templates. And so I'm just going to put feature prioritization. Oh, they got one here for us. You can preview it. Oh, where'd it go? Ah. Let's just add it in. It's easier that way. So we've added this feature prioritization. It has a couple different methods. I'd actually like to undo that. Or at least, let's just get rid of this. I'm not a fan of that board. Let's see what else we have here. I just like to use a grid. What if we do priority? I think I can make this work with my grid. Just a 2x2 grid. All right, I'm going to move this 2x2 grid to my prioritization. Okay, and now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give this a title. Some text, I should say. First one's going to be feasibility, complexity. Okay, feasibility and complexity is going to go on the bottom. And then we're going to, on the right side, have, left side I should say, value to the user. And so the idea here is that we want to chart all of our ideas based on how much value does it provide to the users, how feasible is it that we can complete it in a short amount of time. So the more feasible it is, the more to the right it'll be. The less feasible it is, the more to the left. The more value to the user, the higher. The less value to the user, the lower. And what we'll do is we'll copy all of these. Can we paste them as stickies? This one doesn't make sense as a feature, but we say document the process of creating the site. That could be useful. Interactive project portfolio, community events and challenges, social sharing section. Okay. So here's our 9 ideas, and let's start to put them here. So starting with the skills showcase. Where does this land on the grid? In terms of feasibility, I think it's pretty feasible to do. In terms of value to the user, somewhat valuable, especially to those potential employers. Although I will say that the value is not as high, because just saying you have a skill doesn't really mean anything. I mean, how many people just fill up their resume with a bunch of keywords? I think there's really only value to listing the skills if you can showcase some work that highlights those specific skills, shows that you actually have experience with them. So the user value is a little bit lower. Building an application with techniques that highlights our skills, I think that's feasible. It's definitely not super feasible because it might make the work a little bit harder, but it's definitely in the feasibility realm. Value to the user, I'd say this is actually somewhat valuable because this is a clear application of the skills that you have. Now, documenting the process of creating the site. It is feasible. I'll be doing it, so I could just capture some notes as I go along, maybe turn it into a blog post. Value to the user. This might be valuable to developers, future developers that are looking to build a portfolio site. Interactive project portfolio. I think that this is feasible. Might be a little bit more work, but the value I think is very high for a portfolio site. So let's put it up there. Community events and challenges. I think this would be really valuable to our users, but the feasibility I think is tough, at least now. Maybe once we build up a user base, it'll be a little bit easier to put together some community events, but I'm going to put the feasibility as somewhat low. Content on career journey and milestones, I think that's high feasibility, and it could be pretty useful to our users. Put it somewhere here in the middle. In terms of creating frameworks for making content faster, I think that that's good feasibility, and this is actually pretty high impact, at least to me as a user. And our final one is social sharing section of the new site for developers to grow together. I think this is a great idea. So good use. I think the feasibility is probably the lowest because it would require me to create some type of user profile, which adds a lot of complexity to the site. Might be, it's great to capture it here because I think in the future maybe that's a direction that we can go, but maybe not in the first round. So as you can see here, we have all of our things plotted. The further right, upper right quadrant are things that are highly feasible to accomplish, and they add value to the user. Anything that's below doesn't add much value to the user. And the more left it is, the least feasible it becomes. And so actually what I like to do once I've plotted them in relation to each other is to kind of just center this so that you can see how they plot together. I think the interactive project portfolio is probably the most feasible. Skill showcase a little bit lower on the user value. These would be somewhat high and the user value less feasible. Content on career journey and milestones. Okay. And so now that we've done this, I kind of have an idea of what the priority is. It seems like the first thing that we should build is probably the interactive project portfolio and create some frameworks for making content faster. So that's probably the most important thing that I can do and focus on. I think building an application with techniques to highlight our skills would be very valuable, which would probably lead to more content. And then content on career journey and milestones, that might be like a good, nice to have, as well as documenting the process of creating the site. If I can get to them, great. They're not going to be the priority of this build. Maybe they'll be a good second step, a second iteration. But I think these three are going to be the highlights of where we're going. All right, and before we close, I think we can get into the MVP statement creation. So I'm going to take some of my ideas here, put them into Claude. Oops. So what I need to do is lock this down, lock this, and I can copy these now. Just want to get the post-it notes and the text. See if I can paste this in. All right, let's see if Claude can help us come up with some MVP statements. I love it even comes up with some names. For potential employers and clients, Dev Showcase is a modern web portfolio that demonstrates advanced technical capabilities through its own architecture, unlike traditional portfolio sites because it serves as both a showcase platform and a living example of technical excellence in action. The second one is for technical hiring managers and potential clients. Project Voyage is an interactive project storytelling platform that transforms static repositories into engaging narratives with decision timelines, problem solution maps, and live demonstrations, unlike standard GitHub repositories. Okay. Not crazy. Dev Portfolio is an intelligent portfolio platform that combines technical excellence, interactive project storytelling, and efficient content creation to help developers showcase their abilities, document their journey, and connect with opportunities. Unlike traditional portfolios, it serves as both a demonstration of technical skills through its architecture and a comprehensive storytelling platform that makes ongoing documentation a natural part of the development process. Okay, I think this is much better. I'm going to go ahead and take this. I'm going to paste this into our MVP for now. And I think I'm going to work on this a bit on the side because I really like to make it a little more concise and figure out how we can integrate some kind of metrics so that we can test that what we're building is accomplishing what we're setting out to do in this MVP. And let me just shrink this down a bit. Get it to fit into our mural. There we go. All right. So that's how we can use AI to kind of help be our brainstorm idea, help get us through this framework of design thinking so that we can go from starting with our users, that we could generate some questions that are super valuable, use those questions to drive our ideation, cluster our ideas so that we can get groups of ideas together and see what value we can actually deliver to the user, how to prioritize those ideas so that we can kind of go through that process, and then finally put those together into a comprehensive MVP statement. And now with our MVP statement, we're able to get started actually building this application, starting to go into design and starting to see how can we actually solve some of the issues and the ideas that we've highlighted today and turn those into actual user stories so we can start building as software developers. And now, if you've been following along and you're stuck in your own project, you have your own framework for how to get unstuck and how to start building today. All right, so really quick, before we close the stream, do we have any questions? Looks like we got a viewer here on Twitch. Well, I hope this has made sense to all of you. Let's get back here. For those of you that have stuck along on the journey, thanks for sticking along. I hope you got some value out of this. I hope I taught you some new ways to use AI to empower yourself, to use design thinking as a core tenet of your development process. For those of you that are more junior in development, and maybe this is the first time you're hearing about design thinking, I think it's a super valuable skill that's going to help you get a lot further in your career. It's going to help you become more employable and you're going to become a standout member on your team because you're going to be able to contribute in both design and development in big ways. And especially those of you that are front-end focused, I think it's absolutely crucial to have this skill in your tool belt so that you can be a well-rounded front-end developer. So hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure to join and hit that notification bell as well so you can be notified the next time we go live. I'm going to be streaming more as I build out this portfolio site over the next few weeks, so make sure to keep an eye out on that. And if you come this far, I hope you'll do me a favor and click the link in the description to sign up for my newsletter. That way I can email you directly to let you know what's coming, share some of my future blogs, as well as give you some exclusive content that I won't be sharing on YouTube and some of the other platforms. So make sure to sign up for that and check in for our next live stream, which should be Tuesday next week, where we will start to break down our MVP statement into the actual stories that we're going to start working on. All right, thanks all for joining, and looking forward to continuing this journey with you all. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions that you'd like answered about what we've worked on today, or if there's anything else in the future that you'd like to learn from Juan Tan. Until then, stay gentle, my friends. Take care.